The Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, since I don't want to be more late, let's start reading this very fascinating story. Remember last time we read about how all Aghasura, he comes in the form of a big python, and how all the children, the Gopas, they think that, oh, this is a big huge cave, and then they even figure out that this is probably a huge snake. But then they are so sure that Krishna will help them, they all happily jump and dance and enter the mouth of Aghasura, of the big python. And Krishna is like, oh God, they've all entered. Now what do I do? And he's just pretending in the Leela that, oh, what will I do now? They've all entered, and he also enters. And the gods who are all watching, they're like scared. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And then how he expands himself, and the demon's eyes will all come out. So we'll just read that last part once before we move on to this new story of Brahma testing Vishnu. All right. So, it's good to see Deepa has also joined us today. I'm really glad to see Deepa as well. So today we are going to start with this Brahma testing Vishnu. Vihan, you have a doubt? Your hand is raised here. You missed it.
When I was small, I see.
You're mute. You're on mute. Can you repeat what you said?
When I was small, I saw Krishna's all stories, and I know this story also.
Very good. So it's always interesting. You know what, Vihan? The best thing about these Krishna stories are.
I saw all the episodes of that.
Very good. So the best thing about Krishna stories are, the more you see them, you want to hear them again and again. You never get bored. Oh, I know this. You don't feel bored. Don't you feel again excited? I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again. So you like to keep on hearing the same story. That is the beauty of, not like other ordinary stories. Krishna stories you like to hear again and again. Even if you heard, you feel so much of joy to hear. I want to hear it again, right? So that is the beauty of Krishna stories. Yes, Arav, good to see that you're also back with us now. So I had said that we are going to do chanting one round. We got a little late because I started discussing the Japamala, and Misha came and showed me her Japamala and all that. All right. So Ritika is going to start reading today. Vihan, if you don't have any further things to share, can you lower your hand? Right. Okay. Yes, Ritika.
Continuing from the end of last chapter, Krishna had immediately begun to expand himself within the throat of the demon. Although he had a gigantic body, demon choked by the expanding of Krishna. His big eyes moved violently, and he quickly suffocated. His life air could not come out from any source, and ultimately it burst out of a hole in the upper part of his skull. Thus his life air passed off. After the demon was dead, Krishna, with his transcendental glance alone, brought all the boys and calves back to consciousness and came with them out of the mouth of demon. While Krishna was within the mouth of Aghasura, the demon's spirit soul came out like a dazzling light, illuminating all directions, and waited in the sky. As soon as Krishna came out of the mouth of the demon with his calves and friends, that glittering effulgent light immediately merged into the body of Krishna within the vision of all demigods.
Read one more paragraph, Ritika, and then Nisha can continue.
The demigods became overwhelmed with joy and showered flowers on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and thus worshipped him. The denizens of heaven danced in jubilation, and the denizens in Gandharva. And what is it?
The denizens of heaven and denizens in Gandharva Loka.
Denizens in Gandharva Loka offered various kinds of prayers. Drummers beat drums in jubilation. The Manas recited Vedic hymns, and all the devotees of the Lord chanted the words Jaya Jaya, all glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right. Thank you, Ritika. Misha, will you continue, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, I'll just scroll down.
When God Brahma heard those
Heard those auspicious vibrations
auspicious vibrations which sounded throughout the higher planetary system, he immediately came down to see what had happened. He saw that the demon was killed.
Be louder, Misha. I think there is some. You're sounding very soft.
And he was struck to the wonder at the uncommon
Glorious pastimes
of the personality of Godhead. The gigantic mouth of the demon remained in the open position for many days
and gradually
died up. It remained a
part of
part of pleasure pastimes for all the cowheads boys. The killing of Asura took place when Krishna and all his boyfriends were under 5 years old. Children under 5 years old are called
Kaumara. Children under 5 years, they used to be called Kaumara. Up to now, all the stories are only when children are below 5 years old. All these stories.
Kumara from 5 years up to the 10 year. They are called
Paganda.
Paganda. And from the 10th year up to the 15th year, they are called Kaisura.
Yes.
Kaishura. After the 15-year, boys are called Youth. For which for 1 year there was no discussion of the incidents of the Asura demon in the village of Varja. But when the boys attained their 6th year, they informed their parents of the incident with great wonder.
Okay, so now this is something very unique and miraculous. Okay, now, I hope you all know. Maybe if you don't know, let me tell you now. All these Krishna stories, children. The meeting will end in 10 minutes. Please rejoin. These stories of Krishna, actually, they are said by Parikshit Maharaj in the Bhagavatam. Okay, so although we are studying the Gita now, I am taking these stories from Bhagavatam. So even Dr. Gauri Suresh has written the book of Krishna stories from the Bhagavatam. And even Prabhupada has written these stories of Krishna from the Bhagavatam. Okay, so what is Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is actually a great spiritual literature of so many stories related to Krishna in his different forms. And it is actually being told by this Maharshi called Sukadev to Maharaj Parikshit. Now, Maharaj Parikshit was, after the Pandavas' grandson, and he becomes a king after the Pandavas and Kauravas are no more. He becomes a king, and he was saved by Krishna when he was in the womb of his mother. Okay, so there are so many stories related to Parikshit. Whenever you get a chance, you can read and find out more about so many interesting stories are there. All right. So this story here, I'll just read one paragraph and then after Anushka, you can carry on from there. I'll just read this paragraph to explain to you. So Maharaj Parikshit, he was listening to this, right? Shuka Maharaj is saying the story of Krishna. He was saying that the children were 5 years old when Aghasura's death happened. But they didn't say anything to their parents for 1 full year. Only later, when they were entering their 6th year, when, what is that name given? 6 to 10 years, they're called Paganda. So when they enter their 6th year, that is after 1 full year only, they inform their parents and everybody, you know what? Krishna killed this big python asura. And so Parikshit was listening very carefully to all these transcendental pastimes of Krishna. He was especially interested because Krishna had actually saved his life when he was in the womb of his mother in the Mahabharata war. And he became more and more interested, and therefore he was asking Sukadeva to tell him about, to recite the Bhagavatam. So Sukadev, who was saying this whole Bhagavatam story and Krishna's stories, he was very encouraged. When people ask questions, sometimes when you raise your hand and ask questions, I feel very happy. Similarly, Sukadeva Goswami, when he is saying the story, he was very happy and encouraged when Parikshit asked him, why did the cowherd boys, the Aghasura's death happened 1 year, until 1 year after had passed, why did they not discuss the death of Aghasura? And he explains thus, my dear king, you are making the subject matter of transcendental pastimes. You know transcendental meaning? All of you remember transcendental meaning? Misha, what is transcendental meaning?
Ma'am, what, ma'am?
Transcendental, I had explained, remember? Transcendental meaning of transcendental.
What is the meaning?
Ritika, you remember? Ritika has raised her hand. Ritika, what is the meaning of transcendental?
Spiritual, related to it.
I didn't hear you. What did you say? There was some disturbance.
Spiritual.
Spiritual. So good, Ritika. Ritika remembers. Misha, transcendental means what is not related to this world. It is spiritual. Okay. Yes, Anushka.
Ma'am, what is digital? What is digital?
Where is that?
What is
Spiritual.
digital?
Spiritual, not digital, Vihan. Spiritual means not related to this material world we see around us. It is related to the spirit, to spiritual. Okay. So like I told you, there is a big material world, all these universes, is all material. But there is another God's world. It is a spiritual world. And this Krishna stories are not ordinary material stories. They are spiritual pastimes of Krishna. So here they are saying that, my dear king, you are making this, I am telling you the story.
Difficult word लिख रही हूँ मैं गूगल पे ढूंढूंगी ये टेढ़ा क्यों हो गया
गीता क्लास होगी
ये टेढ़ा क्यों
क्लास होगी गीता
निशा
Yeah. So, my dear king, you are making this subject matter we're discussing of Krishna's stories more fresh because you're so inquisitive. You're asking questions. So, it is said that it is the nature of a devotee. Once you become a devotee of the Lord, you constantly apply your mind, energy, words in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And this is called Krishna consciousness. And for one who is clearly listening and hearing and chanting about Krishna, the subject matter of Krishna's stories never becomes old. You never get bored. That's why it is called Nitya Nava Navayamana. This means that one can go on chanting and hearing about the Lord, never feel tired. It's always fresh and you feel eager to know more. Now from here onwards, Anushka, can you read here from It is the Duty?
Yes, ma'am. It is the duty of the spiritual master to disclose all confidential subject matter to the inquisitive and sincere disciple. Thus, Shukadeva Goswami began to explain why the killing of Asuras was not discussed until 1 year had passed. Sukadeva Goswami told, now hear the secret with attention.
Yeah.
After
You
the
can
death of
continue reading. Yeah, continue reading. So here he's going to say the secret of why for 1 full year the children did not tell their parents anything about Aghasura being killed, which happened, only after one. He's going to say why that happened. Okay. Yeah, you can read 2 more paragraphs also, Anushka. Continue there.
After the death of Asura, Krishna,
Aghasura.
Balmara,
Aghasura is the name
Aghasura.
of the python Asura. Agha means python, big python. Okay.
Aghasura Krishna, Balrama, and the other children went to the river, freshened themselves up, and sat down for the lunch. Everyone wanted to sit near Krishna. Their love for him was growing day by day. Moreover, today he had done such a heroic deed. He could any boy not admire him today. Krishna solved their problem by making them sit in a circle and he himself sitting in the center. By his Maya, each boy thought Krishna was facing him. Surrounded by Gopa boys, the Lord of the universe sat on the ground and opened his lunch packet, flute and cane under his left arm. He used his right arm to make small balls of the curd rice his mother made for him. Then he began eating the ball one by one, chattering, joking, and laughing in between.
See, thank you, Anushka and Ritika and Nisha. So Arav can continue reading. I just want to share, bring your attention to this beautiful point that everyone wanted to sit beside Krishna, right? Sometimes when your teacher also calls you, come, let's sit together. You want to sit beside the teacher, right? Yeah, Krishna is God and he's God, so he's so attractive. Everyone wanted to sit near Krishna. How did Krishna solve the problem? He sat in the center and nobody knew, that he's actually, which side he's facing because everybody felt that Krishna is facing him. That is a Maya of Krishna. Krishna could create such beautiful Maya. And he was surrounded by the Gopas. A lot of the universe was sitting in the center like a small child, no ordinary child. He was having his flute and cane in one arm. He was making small balls and eating and talking and chatting with everyone. And everyone was thinking that Krishna is looking at me. Everyone was thinking like that. See how magical it is, how the Maya of Krishna is. Yeah, Arav, can you continue reading now? 2 or 3 paragraphs. They
Yes,
ate.
ma'am. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Lord face to face. Krishna appeared to be the whole of a lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be its different petals.
By the way, congratulations, Arav, for winning that award in the debate you went for that UN, right? UN program, mock UN. Beautiful,
Yes, ma'am.
brilliant
Thank you,
achievement,
ma'am.
Arav. Keep it up. So happy. So here you can see how Krishna is sitting.
In the picture, the behind guys are seeing the back of Krishna, not seeing.
Yes, that is the magic, Vihan. At the back, it looks like, for us, it is looking like the back of Krishna the children are seeing. But actually, those children are seeing as if Krishna is looking at him. That's the magic. That's the Maya of Krishna. At the back, we are feeling that Krishna's back. But every child, like magic, they were able to see like Krishna is looking at, even the children at the back, they were seeing as if Krishna is looking at them. Okay, so those are the miracles of God. Yeah. Now you can continue reading, Arav, for a few more paragraphs. This beautiful picture you have enjoyed.
Ma'am,
Yes, we have.
that will happen. So he should be a very good guy.
Who should be a good guy?
Krishna. So he should be means everybody should